So, a quick video, hopefully I'll tweak it all the way through, but screen rotating bracket, first part, I took all the parts out, got them all ready, and we have a nice little document that tells you supposedly how to install, so we'll see how it goes. So a quick shout out for AliExpress, which is where I got this swivel bracket from. First job, remove cover plate from temperature sensor, so we'll have a look. So we'll take it, they're on about this part here, just underneath. So as you can see, you can get behind it, so it's just prying this out, which I'm going to keep going. I think you can see that this here has to come out, because you can't get to the bolts, so we'll keep looking. So it is really tough to get off, but it does come out. You pull it from one side, which is good news. So the cover plate is a little difficult to get off, but it does come. You just got to persevere. Luckily I found another start which will work on this, so I'm just going to take that off. So I've now removed the cover plate and remove the temperature sensor, and now on to remove the original car screen. So we've just got to get to the bolts, which you can see. So I've now just pulled the cable out ready, so that when I actually take the bolts off, this will come away at the back. I'll have to detach it from the screen itself. So now the bolts are out, the screen will just come away, and this cable here we're going to detach from the screen. Original car, so that's come off. Now we're on to removing the original plastic surround, which you can't quite see. This tool is actually useful. It is going to be used to remove the two screws at the back, which are actually on the back of the screen. You'll see them in the corners, left and right corner. So I'm going to remove them, which should allow the screen to come off. So one tricky piece is just to actually remove this cable from the back, so I'm just being very delicate in terms of how I do that, so I'll come back to you in a sec. So as you can see, this white clip that covers needs to come off. So there's a release just there, so that allows me to release. So I've just got to do that. I can't do it. So that was the release, and now it's come off. So it's just a little bit tricky, but you just need to, like I say, push the little release clip and it's away. So we've now removed the screen, cables, all the parts. Ready now. I'm going to start locating the new bracket. So this is the next step, which it slots in quite simply into position, ready to put the bolts and screws back in. So quite simply now I'm going to tighten up the screws and then get back to you. It's pretty simple. So that's tight now. There was a little bit of play, but I've made sure to tighten it up. Just tighten it up slow so you don't go shearing anything, but that's in position now, nice and tight. And moving on to the next step. So yeah, just starting to slide this on one side and the other, and then it's going to be a case of just moving it on into position, and I've just checked everything. So to get a tight fit here, I know this is not the best because you can see I tried to cover the dash with this, but ignoring that fact at the moment, just so you get an understanding, that the clip just needs pushing up so that they actually clip on the underside, because you can just see that the top one's clipped in place, those two are slightly showing, but once the screen's on you're not really going to see that. And just make sure once you've slotted it on that you pull the cable through this hole here so that you've got room to push it back in once you attach it to the screen. So I'm happy with that now. The cover is in place, and now I'm going to start putting the screen back on. So the trick here now, when we're going to put the bracket over and attach, is obviously the first thing we've got to get cables through. So we'll bring them through here and then allow me to put them onto the screen. So I'll do that first. So we've fed the cable through, ready to slot it in and back onto the screen. So I'll obviously use the piece that we took off earlier on, which will put that back in, and then I can move to the next step. So that's slotted in now quite nicely, just dropped in, and then this white cover, I'll put that back around just to keep it in place. So cable's now back in, white clip on, and now I'm ready to start to put it back onto the bracket. So the one thing to mention is, because these screws have already got a pre-inbuilt washer, you just have to slide them in and then tighten them up. Don't try and tighten them up straight off, otherwise it won't fit in. So just one thing to mention. There we go, all tightened up nicely, ready to go. I'm going to now slot it into the bracket. So there we go, it's all bolted up, looks pretty good. So screen's on. It did scare me for a second. It was black when I re-plugged the cable into the screen, but then turned the car off, turned it back on after about 20 minutes, and it was all kicked into life. So it was almost like a reset. So just screwed back the temperature sensor onto the piece provided using the previous screws that I removed earlier on. That should slot straight back into this position. So final video, it's all done. Pretty pleased. The swivel is as it says on, and it's so much easier to get to the controls now. A lot easier than having to stretch across. Kids will be happy when they want to watch the sort of Netflix. Set that up. I think I'm quite happy with it. Like I said, you can swivel it all different directions. I'll just play around until I get that quite right. Happy, looks good to me. It's actually interesting, it does hide from the steering wheel just slightly, but do you know what, that's perfect for me. I'm very happy with it. There you go.